Hello, this is Dr. Anthony Festmeyer, and this is the first video in a series on the Motown classic, My Girl. There's some great versions of this song out there, including the version by Otis Redding and the version by The Temptations, and we're going to put together a little bit of a hybrid version of the two. The first video in the series is going to focus in on the chorus section. The second video will focus in on the verse, kind of the main riff of the song, and then the third video will put them together in a bit of an arrangement. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to check out the rhythm to this. The rhythm starts off with a quarter note rest, followed by a pair of eighth notes, then another quarter note rest, and then another pair of eighth notes. Now I have two basic rules for counting rhythm. First of all, we always count the beat. So if we're in 4/4 time, we're always going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we always have a syllable for every note that's there. So this starts off with a rest, and we're going to count that since it's right on beat 1, and we're going to say 1 for the quarter note rest, 2 and for the eighth note pair, 3 for the quarter note rest, and 4 and for the last eighth note pair. So the rhythm for the first measure is 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. The second measure is similar, but not exactly the same. It starts off with a quarter note rest, 1, eighth note pair, 2, and, but then follows with an eighth note rest followed by an eighth note. Now I see that as another pair of eighth notes, and that would be counted as 3 and, but nothing is played on 3, but again, it's important to count that and feel that. And then the final beat is 4. So for that measure, we have 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Now that rhythm repeats for the next two measures. Moving on to the next line, we have a quarter note rest followed by a quarter note, another quarter note rest followed by a quarter note. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have the same rhythm for the next two measures, and then we have a measure of rest. So let's go ahead and put this whole thing together and clap and count the rhythm. This is what we've got. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That last measure is just 4 beats of rest. If you hear it with the recording, that last measure is filled with mainly vocals. Okay, now let's go ahead and check out the chords to this song. It basically just uses 4 chords, and they're all going to be in the E form. So we're going to start off here at the 8th fret with our first finger barring there for a C major chord, getting in the E form. So I'm taking an open E chord, moving that up and barring at the 8th fret, and it gives me a C major chord. C is the note that's right here, and this is the C major shape. So that's my first chord. If I move that up 2 frets so that my first finger now is at the 10th on a D note, and then I pick up my middle finger, I have a D minor chord. If I move this back to the 1st fret, put my middle finger down again, I get an F chord. Move it up 2 frets, I have a G chord. And those are the only 4 chords within this entire chorus. So coming back up to the C chord, I'm going to play it in that rhythm. Now the rhythm is rest and then 2 and. That's going to be a down followed by an up strum. 1, 2, and. Now after I play that and, it's really important that I pick up my hand, my left hand, and stop the strings from ringing. And it's a pretty easy thing to do. It's not a major movement. All I do is strum the strings and then release them lightly. I'm still touching the strings. I'm just not gripping them. I'm not fretting them. I'm not pushing them down anymore. Okay, so you can practice doing that to kind of get used to stopping the sound. Okay, so that's an important technique within the song. So we've got 1, 2, and then the D minor chord, 3, 4, and then the F chord, 1, 2, and then the G chord, and 4. Now for the and 4, we're going to do an up strum followed by a down strum, and 4, and 4, and then again stop the sound. So we've got that chord progression 2 times. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Repeats. Okay, then moving on to the next part, the rhythm changes, so it just hits on 2 and 4, and we have a C chord for 2 measures. Now with this chord, we want to make the attack pretty short. 1. I'm also going to hit a little bit harder with my right hand. If you listen to either one of those classic recordings, that chord is almost not sounded. It almost sounds more percussive. Almost like they're doing that, but we're going to go ahead and play the chord, and we're going to play it short and hard. So the short is coming from my left hand. I'm picking up my left hand really quickly after I play the chord, but I'm hitting a little bit harder with the right. And then we go up to the D minor chord, and then the measure of rest is filled with vocals on the original recording. Okay, so this is the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, now that's one way to play the song. I'm playing these big full bar chords. Now that's not really typical though of the Motown style. It's a really thick sound. There's a lot on the low bass end with these chords as well as the high notes that are sounding. Now the bass is a very prominent instrument in Motown music typically, and so these big chords with a lot of low notes tend to get in the way of the intricate bass lines that are often happening in Motown music. So typically what you hear is chords that are on the higher strings of the guitar as opposed to the lower strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those same basic E-form chord shapes, but instead of playing the entire E-form chord, we're only going to play the top 4 notes. Now what I could do is I could continue to play this full bar, but with my right hand, I just play the top strings. And that's fine. So if you prefer to play it that way, that works. It's the same thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change my fingers to a little bit more of a smaller, kind of comfortable position. I'm going to bar my first finger across the E and the B string of the 8th fret. My second finger is going to hit the 9th fret on the G string, and then my third finger is going to hit the 10th fret on the D string. Now you might recognize this as the shape that we learned for the F major chord originally. So if I move my first finger up here to a C and play that same shape, now I have a C chord. We're actually going to use that F chord in just a minute. So this is the fingering that I'm going to use for this alternate version of the song. Now if I move that up 2 frets and then pick up my middle finger, I have the D minor chord. And then next is the F chord, which again we've learned previously. And then if I take that same F shape and I move it up 2 frets, this is a G chord. So I can think of these chords with having the root of the chord on the high E string. So I recognize this is an F note, this is an F chord, this is a G note, this is a G chord. Okay, so again, those are the only 4 chords of the song. So if I put those together, I've got this. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.